Welcome back to Melissa, Arsenal Analyst, the channel where we go deeper than the headlines, cut through the noise and give you the real picture of what is happening at Arsenal Football Club. Today is an extraordinary day. There is so much happening around this football club right now that it is almost impossible to keep up. But that is exactly what we are here for. So settle in, because today we are covering everything. The manager situation, the transfer targets, the Champions League final build-up, the defensive statistics that tell a story most people are not discussing, and the broader picture of what Arsenal are building. This is a big one. Let us go. Let us start right where the action is. Fabrizio Romano, one of the most trusted names in football transfer journalism, has confirmed that Mikel Arteta is expected to sign a new deal at Arsenal this year as part of a long-term plan. And here is what makes this significant. The decision was already made on the club side back in February. Arsenal offered Arteta a new contract with a pay rise, and Arteta is happy to continue. The formal talks will follow after the Champions League final and into the summer. There is no rush, but the direction is absolutely clear. Now, pause on that for a second. This is not a rumour. This is not speculation. The club made this decision months ago. They committed to Arteta before the title was even confirmed. That tells you everything about how Arsenal's ownership views this man. They were not waiting to see if he won the league. They had already decided he was their man for the long term. That level of institutional confidence in a manager is rare in modern football, and it matters enormously when you are trying to build something sustainable. The Telegraph has added more detail to this picture. Arsenal plan to reward Arteta by making him one of the highest paid managers in world football. He currently has 1 year remaining on his deal, but that is about to change in a very significant way. A major pay rise is confirmed to be coming. The Telegraph describes this as Arsenal recognising what Arteta has delivered, which is the club's first Premier League title in 22 years. So the message from Arsenal's ownership is loud and clear. Mikel Arteta is not going anywhere. He is being locked in, financially rewarded and trusted to take this club even further. That is your foundation. Now, let us talk about what is being built on top of it. Before we go any further, I want to make something clear. What Arsenal are navigating right now is genuinely historic territory for this football club. Winning the Premier League after 22 years of waiting is enormous on its own. But they are also preparing for a Champions League final, and simultaneously they are planning one of the most ambitious summer transfer windows in the club's recent history. 3 major missions happening at the same time. The pressure on the people running this club right now is immense. If any of these pieces fall apart, the consequences are real. A poor Champions League final performance could affect morale going into the summer. A chaotic transfer window could disrupt the squad balance Arteta has carefully built. And if Arteta himself were to leave, everything falls apart. The stakes could not be higher. But right now, every signal points in the right direction. And that is what we are here to analyse in full detail. If you want this level of in-depth analysis on Arsenal every single day, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. Because on this channel, we do not do surface level. We go all the way in. Now, let us continue. The manager and the new contract let us build on what Romano confirmed and what the Telegraph has detailed. Arteta has 1 year left on his current deal. Normally, that would be a cause for concern at a football club. You would expect uncertainty, perhaps rumours of interest from other clubs, perhaps questions about whether he stays. But none of that is present here. Instead, Arsenal are moving to make him one of the highest paid managers in world football. That is not a defensive move. That is a power move. Arsenal are not scrambling to keep their manager. They are elevating him to a level that makes him virtually untouchable in terms of offers from elsewhere. The reality for Arteta and this football club is that the relationship has matured into something genuinely special. He arrived, built from the ground up, endured painful near misses and has now delivered the title. The ownership rewarding that with a landmark contract is not just loyalty, it is smart business. You do not break up something that is working. You protect it and invest in it, and the timing is deliberate. Talks will happen after the Champions League final. Arsenal are not rushing. They are not panicking. The direction is clear. The deal will be done. And when it is done, it will send a message to every club in Europe that Arteta is committed to Arsenal's project for years to come. The summer rebuild and the war chest. Now let us talk about what Arteta will be working with this summer. Arsenal owner Josh Kroenke has spoken, and his words deserve careful attention. The key phrase is this: there will be no standing still when the season ends. He described Arsenal as always forward in their approach, taking learnings as they go and relentless in the pursuit of progress. He called what the club is building something very special. That is ownership language that signals serious investment, and it lines up precisely with what is being reported about Arsenal's summer plans. Arteta is personally leading the rebuild alongside sporting director Andrea Berta. The club's owners are ready to keep investing after the title win. Names linked to Arsenal at this stage include Eli Junior Krupi, Julian Alvarez, Gyökeres Kvaratskhelia, Bradley Barcola, Nico Williams and Anthony Gordon. Now, I want to be responsible here because some of these are confirmed targets and some are links and rumours. Let me separate them clearly for you. Julian Alvarez is the most advanced name in terms of confirmed interest. Arsenal have been given a war chest and Alvarez is described as firmly in the sights of Andrea Berta. He is currently at Atletico Madrid. Arsenal are preparing a potential swap deal to compete with Paris Saint-Germain for his signature. If they were to sign him outright, the cost would be over €120 million, which converts to over £104 million. That is a significant financial commitment, but it reflects how highly Arteta values a world-class striker alongside Victor Gyökeres. For the left-wing position, which is identified as a clear area needing reinforcement, the situation is as follows. Rafael Leão is valued at around £74 million. Anthony Gordon is a target, with Arsenal rivalling Bayern Munich for his signature. Bradley Barcola and Nico Williams are also names linked to the left-wing role. These are all rumours and links at this stage, not confirmed deals, but the volume and consistency of these links tells you that Arsenal are very actively exploring this position. In central midfield, Matheus Fernandes of West Ham United and Sandro Tonali of Newcastle United are both identified as options. Arsenal first made contact for Tonali back in January. Their interest remains active. Tonali is expected to leave his club this summer. However, Arsenal must be alert to competition from Manchester United, who are also pushing to sign Matheus Fernandes. Both of these are rumours and reported interest, not confirmed transfers. At centre-back, Castello Lukoba of Leipzig is the player who appears most likely to move to North London. Arsenal and Liverpool have both been told that Lukoba will leave Leipzig in a deal worth around £55 million this summer. Jacobo Ramon of Como and Victor Valdepenas of Real Madrid are also on Arteta's radar. These are reported links. To help fund these arrivals, Arsenal are expected to sell Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli and Ethan Nwaneri. Those departures have not been confirmed but are presented as likely outcomes. The overall picture is this. Arsenal are preparing for a four-position rebuild in attack, midfield and defence. The ownership has committed financially. The sporting director and manager are aligned and the direction of travel is clearly upward. The defensive statistics that demand respect. Now, I want to spend time on something that does not get enough attention, and that is just how extraordinary Arsenal's defensive performance has been this season. The numbers are as follows. Arsenal faced the fewest expected goals on target of any team in the Premier League this season with a figure of 24.9. They also faced the fewest shots of any team, which was 302. They faced the fewest shots on target, which was 87. And they conceded the fewest goals, which was 26. Every single one of those four categories, Arsenal finished first in the league, not second, first, by a meaningful margin in each case. Now think about what that means from an analytical standpoint. The best defence in the Premier League is not built by accident. It is built through coaching, through structure, through individual quality and through collective discipline that is rehearsed and refined over thousands of hours of training. Arteta has built exactly that. This is why Carlo Ancelotti, one of the most successful managers in the history of football, said what he said about Gabriel Magalhaes. Ancelotti described what Arteta has built as incredible. He stated that Gabriel could be a serious Ballon d'Or contender if Brazil win the World Cup and if Arsenal win the Champions League at the end of the month. He called Gabriel one of the best defenders in the world this season. That is not a casual compliment. That is a respected peer in world football, acknowledging elite-level quality. Gabriel and William Saliba have formed one of the most dominant centre-back partnerships in European football. Their partnership statistics show 116 clean sheets together since the year 2000, placing them second only to Rio Ferdinand and Nemanja Vidic in Premier League history among centre-back partnerships. The evidence suggests that Arsenal's defensive foundation is genuinely world-class and it is the platform on which everything else is being built. William Saliba sends his message. While celebrations were happening around the Premier League title win, William Saliba was already focused on what comes next. His words were measured and powerful. He said, "Our season is not over yet." He said the team still has to prove the doubters wrong. He said they are going for the Champions League and they need it. He finished by saying, "Now all focus is on that and they will do everything it takes." That is the mentality of a player who understands that winning one trophy is not the destination. It is a stepping stone. Saliba is not celebrating and relaxing. He is locked in and demanding the same from everyone around him. That kind of leadership from a defender who is still only in his mid-20s is exactly what Arsenal need going into a Champions League final. Arteta's tactical secrecy ahead of the final. There is another layer to how Arteta operates that deserves serious attention. The situation inside Arsenal's training environment is one of extreme information control. Sources close to the squad have confirmed that it has become common practice for players to only discover the lineup for a match a few hours before kickoff. In recent weeks, Arteta has even stopped circulating his chosen team early among club staff. He waits until the last possible moment to declare his starting 11. Think about that strategically. Every piece of tactical information that leaks from a football club gives the opponent a potential advantage. Arteta has essentially sealed that leak entirely. His players do not know the team until a few hours before the game. His staff do not know it either. That means Paris Saint-Germain's analysts, no matter how well resourced they are, cannot get reliable information about how Arsenal will set up. This is calculated and it is deliberate. Reports from inside the club describe an absolute avalanche of confidence in the dressing room ahead of the Champions League final. Arteta is said to have a special tactical plan for his staff believe Arsenal's defence will be more than a match for Paris Saint-Germain's attackers, and the opposition are acknowledging it. Paris Saint-Germain manager Luis Enrique said publicly that Arsenal deserve to win the Premier League and that without a doubt they are the best team in the world without the ball. He called it a great combination if you can avoid conceding goals and score as well. He described the final as very difficult with two teams set up in different ways. Luis Enrique is not throwing compliments around carelessly. He is a highly analytical manager. When he says Arsenal are the best team in the world without the ball, that is a tactical acknowledgement. He knows what his team is walking into. And Arsenal know that Luis Enrique respects them. That dynamic matters going into a final. The Eze story that changed the season. Now let me take you back to the beginning of the season for a moment, because there is a story about how Arsenal signed Eze that reveals a great deal about how this club operates under pressure. When Kai Havertz suffered a knee injury on the opening weekend of the Premier League, Arsenal knew they needed to act quickly. The initial plan was to sign another striker. Inter Milan's Francesco Pio Esposito was one of the names considered by Andrea Berta, but Arsenal pivoted. Instead of signing a like-for-like replacement, they identified a different kind of match winner and moved to sign Eze away from rivals Tottenham Hotspur. The urgency of that move was remarkable. Arsenal worked through the night to complete the necessary paperwork so they could parade Eze ahead of their next fixture against Leeds United. While the contract specialist James King was dealing with the small print, Eze was literally circling the Emirates Stadium in a car, waiting for the green light to enter. In the end, it all worked out, and that signing, made under pressure in the opening days of the season, proved to be one of the defining moments of Arsenal's title-winning campaign. That story tells you something important about how Arsenal's leadership makes decisions. When circumstances change, they adapt quickly. They do not panic. They identify the best available solution and pursue it with speed and precision. That adaptability is a hallmark of a well-run football club. Victor Gyökeres and what his record means. Let us now talk about Victor Gyökeres, because the evidence around his achievement this season is genuinely remarkable. Gyökeres has now won 3 consecutive league titles. He won the Portuguese title in back-to-back seasons with Sporting CP, where he was the top scorer on both occasions. He then moved to Arsenal and immediately won the Premier League, once again being the club's highest scorer. He has scored 21 goals in all competitions this season. Now, compare that to Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes is widely regarded as one of the best midfielders in world football. He was a hero at Sporting CP and has consistently been Manchester United's most important player, despite the club's struggles. He receives enormous praise and constant recognition. But here is the uncomfortable reality for Fernandes. He never won the Portuguese title during his time at Sporting CP. He has never won the Premier League with Manchester United. Despite all the individual acclaim, the league titles have not come. Gyökeres, meanwhile, has quietly accumulated 3 consecutive titles in 3 consecutive seasons. He does not receive the same level of attention or praise as Fernandes. He has been criticised and doubted throughout his career, but he keeps winning. And winning at the highest level, consistently across different leagues and different clubs, is the ultimate measure of a footballer's contribution. The situation is this. Gyökeres has now achieved something Fernandes has never come close to, and he has done it 3 times in a row. That is not coincidence. That is a winning mentality combined with elite quality. Rafael Leão congratulates Declan Rice. Now let us talk about the moment that lit up social media and carries real transfer significance. After Arsenal were crowned Premier League champions, Declan Rice was one of the first players to post on social media. He reminded supporters that he had told them the league was not over, even after Arsenal lost to Manchester City the previous month. Leo, who is currently at AC Milan, went into the comments on Rice's post and wrote, "Well done, my bro. That is a 2-second interaction on social media. But in the context of Arsenal's transfer plans, it carries meaning. Leão is a name firmly on Arsenal's list for the summer. He produced 10 goals and 3 assists this season for an AC Milan side that struggled. The price tag is around £74 million. The argument from an analytical standpoint is that a player of his quality performing at those numbers in a poor team could become significantly more productive in an Arsenal side fighting for Premier League and Champions League titles. The social media interaction with Rice does not confirm a transfer. It is a rumour, a link, a connection, but it is the kind of detail that builds a picture. Leo knows Rice. He congratulated him warmly. And Arsenal are actively exploring the possibility of signing him. Whether it happens is still to be determined. Leo has also been named in Portugal's 2026 World Cup squad, which means he will have a major global platform to showcase his ability over the coming weeks. If he performs well at the World Cup, that only increases his value in the competition for his signature. Arsenal, if they are serious about this, will need to move efficiently. Patrick Vieira and the emotional weight of this title. Before we close, I want to give proper space to what Patrick Vieira said, because it carries emotional and historical weight. Vieira reflected on the roller coaster that Arsenal fans have been through this season. The pressure, the tension, the banter from rivals, the doubts. And then he said those words. "It has been a hard season for us, but finally, we are champions." Vieira then sent his message directly to Arteta. "Thank you, Mikel." That acknowledgement from one of Arsenal's greatest ever players to the manager who delivered this title is significant. Vieira understands what it means to win at Arsenal. He was part of the Invincibles. He knows the standard and the history. When someone of that stature says thank you to the current manager, it tells you that what Arteta has achieved is being recognised at every level of this football club's history. Vieira also confirmed he is already preparing his outfit for the title parade. He said he has to be there. That is not just a fun detail, that is a living Arsenal legend saying this moment deserves to be celebrated and he will be part of it. The connection between Arsenal's past and present is alive, and that matters for a club reclaiming its identity as a genuine force in world football. Broadcaster and analyst Michael Brown of Sky Sports added his view that Arsenal can go on to cause an upset in the Champions League final. He discussed the possibility of Arsenal completing a Premier League and Champions League double this season, and his conclusion was that he believes they can do it. Closing analysis, let me bring all of this together for you. Arsenal are a football club that has gone from painful near misses to Premier League champions in the space of a single season. The manager who endured 3 consecutive second-place finishes has now delivered the title and is being rewarded with one of the biggest contracts in world football management. The ownership is committed to keeping investing. The sporting director and manager are aligned on 4 areas of squad improvement in the summer. The defensive statistics from this season are historically excellent. The squad mentality ahead of the Champions League final is one of total focus and belief. Even their opponents acknowledge that Arsenal are a uniquely difficult team to break down. The reality for this football club is that they are at a genuinely exciting inflection point, not just in terms of what they have won, but in terms of what they are building. The summer transfer window, the Champions League final, the new contract for Arteta, the potential arrivals of world-class talent, all of it points in one direction. Arsenal are not done. They are just getting started. That is your full analysis for today. If this level of depth is what you come here for, then make sure you are subscribed to Melissa Arsenal Analyst. Leave a comment below. Tell me which of today's stories you think is the most important. Is it the Arteta contract, the transfer plans, or the Champions League final build-up? I want to hear from you. Until next time, this is Melissa Arsenal Analyst, and as always, we see the bigger picture.